wasted days and wasted nights. You piss them all away. Little children in the street, dying every day. And we all look for something we can never find. And we all need peace of mind. Lonely wretch on the street, looking for love. $20 beneath the sheets. Is this all she thinks of? We all look for something we can never find. And we all need peace of mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
Hey, Timmy.
go.
Good to see you, buddy. Good to be
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, I know. You were down in Florida hitting the beach. Yeah, word was as soon as you hit the water, the fish started going further out to sea.
I seen some of those beautiful pictures you put up about me, too.
Yeah, I couldn't
I
help
think I'm in a
myself.
little bit better shape than that, but I got to tell you something. The more I go down there, the more I don't want to come back, Timmy. Tell you the
Yeah.
truth, it's, you're 75, 76, 77
Yeah.
degrees. You come home, it's snowing, it's cold. But hey, listen, I'm glad to be back in the sense of getting the show up and running. And hey, everybody who's out there tonight watching Truth, Lies, and Political Bullshit. So now we know, Timmy, that there's a race in the Sixth War, right?
Yeah, sure is. Yep.
So it almost appears like the little plot that King Keeler and his merry men tried to put together may be foiled in the sense that somebody stepped up and said, hey, I'm not going to let this person just run by themselves, kick Fife out, run the same candidate, and then
And steal
nobody
the
else
election.
run,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, steal the election, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So it appears to me, based on conversations I've had, people telling me people are knocking at the doors, that April Trudeau is out there. She's going to run. She's going to give him a hell of a race, and she's our special guest tonight.
Yep. And you know what? We did invite her opponent. Okay.
Yeah.
And she's the only one that responded, as best I
I
know.
invited him again tonight. I sent him another Facebook. Now I did it on Facebook
Yep.
because he's a friend on Facebook, and
Yep.
and I friended her and she friended me back. So I was able to send them both a message on Facebook. She responded. So far, he hasn't responded yet. So we'll see what happens. But
Yep. Well,
I'm
we
excited.
got one.
Yeah, I'm excited to have her. So hey, everybody, let's welcome April Trudeau to the show. April, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for coming on. We really appreciate you you coming on the show. I know that sometimes it can be nerve-wracking to come on a podcast, but I'm really proud that you're out there working hard and that you decided to come on and talk to the people of the city. I think that's really what an election is, April, right? It's about you talking to the voters, telling them why you want to run and what your plans are, et cetera, et cetera. And this is a great platform because we got thousands of people now watching our show.
Sure, and it's the first for you too, April. I mean, I think, Sean, this is the first time we had someone actually come on, okay, running for election on our show. Have at it, April.
Yeah. So, April, just tell me, is there a reason that you decided to run again? Because this ain't your first time.
It's not. No, I actually ran against Justin previously. Not this
Yeah,
election,
yeah,
but
that's right.
before that. Yeah, and there was a little bit of nastiness and politicking as usual.
Yeah.
But this time around, I just felt like if your heart's in the right place and you really want to do something, you might as well give it a go until you can't anymore.
Look at it.
Know,
I used,
Yeah.
my
I
son
used,
is getting older. He, attends Van Skyke school. It's important for me to become involved in the activities of the city that I've always lived and grown up in.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but I do want to say first, and appreciate putting me on a platform that, individuals such as John McDonald and, Sheriff Craig Apple. I really appreciate it. It's a huge, huge honor and opportunity. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, listen, this is what it's all about. A lot of people are watching the show. They want to know what's going on in the sixth row. It's really been interesting, right? And you really have no, maybe you don't even have a lot of knowledge about what happened, but we had a race. We had a winner, Tom Fife, firefighter. He beat Mr. Alicio both in the primary and the general. He takes his seat. Looks like everything's going well. The mayor gives him kudos, welcomes him aboard. They all have the big, love festival. And then he votes Billy McCarthy, which I call Billy the lapdog, out from the president's seat. Billy leaves. The next thing you know, they want to fire Tom Fife. And now he's caught up in this whole kit and caboodle where he doesn't know, what he's going to do. Can he stay? Does he have to leave? Can he afford to lose his job and fight it later? It was really a mess, right? So he steps down. You step up. And look at tell everybody
And you
what
did
is
it
it
on
that
short
drove you?
notice too.
Yeah,
Short.
what is it that made you want to come and fight this fight again? Because it's a dirty, rotten business.
Yeah. Well, I grew up playing softball and I was never scared of a little dirt.
Good for
Yeah.
you. Good for
I'm
you.
a fighter. I have tough skin. I'm a very determined. And I feel like I said, if your heart's in the right position, you can't ever really truly go wrong. If
Yeah.
I don't win, I don't win, but at least I know I gave it a go. And as long as I can try in any way to help my community, I'm good with that.
How
Hey,
about
there was
some
a
things about you, April?
Yeah,
Some things like you own a business and things like that.
yeah. So there's a 4-year-old son who goes to Van Skyke, like I mentioned. I am a New York State realtor, so I do real estate. I'm the top 10% in the area right now.
well,
Uh,
good for you.
I
Congratulations.
yeah.
also, yeah, thank you. And I also own a restaurant over in Waterford named Noreen's.
Well, that's
So,
awesome. So you're
yes.
an accomplished businesswoman,
hmm
a
And
mother, the hardest job in the world. And
yes,
now
yes.
you're going to run for a council seat. And tell me, what made you want to run again? Was there anything that happened? Is there any reason that you just said I want to? Was it just because you didn't want Justin to run alone and just walk into this seat, or is there stuff that bothered you? What made you jump back into this race?
Well, I actually was planning on rerunning before I Justin announced.
Oh, good.
So yeah, so it was already in the works and it was being discussed. There's a lot of issues that have come up or votes that have gone, one way or the other that I didn't necessarily agree with that I wanted to be able to get the input of the residents and speak on their behalf. We did have that big issue as far as redistricting in
Absolutely.
it was a very in my personal opinion it was very unnecessary. There are surrounding cities that have 5,000 plus residents per one council, whereas our numbers are not even close as far as that scale goes. So there's just no reason in my eyes to have gained another ward separation. And I don't think it makes sense to me. You have a Van Skyke golf course that now technically isn't even a Van Skyke ward. You have a school right next to apartment buildings that are 5 feet away or whatever, and they're now being split apart. It's almost like we divided the island, and the barrier lines don't even make very much sense to me. I would love to have seen on both sides of it what the pros and cons were to see how they reached that decision.
Yeah, so wouldn't have I, because I don't know if you watched the show prior to coming on, but if you haven't, you need to subscribe and hit that little bell as well. But
Yeah.
me and Timmy
No.
talked about this, right? Because
Yeah.
first of all, redistricting it's a political process. It really is. It's a process that is designed to have your city council having meetings with its community to talk about how important it is to stay cohesive and united, and why you have all of these types of community of interest that makes you a community and makes you a strong little fiefdom within your city. And there is no reason in the world why the city of Cohoes had to split the island at all. It was political at every level. Everybody knows it. They moved me from the third ward to the fourth ward because somebody told me I was going to run for city council. I know that's true. I know that's what I'm just one of the people. Higgins, they didn't want Higgins to run, but somehow he still finagled it and he won. They didn't want other people to run, so they were moving lines all over the place, and it was a sham. And I know because I was the head of redistricting on the county level, which is a lot bigger than a small little city. So yes, we have to look at the redistricting by law because of the census. But you're absolutely right, April. There was no reason whatsoever to have to split up the city. So and I think the people on the island, you being one of them, took offense to that. We're really upset about that, and rightfully so. And you make some good points. And
I feel like if it's a resident and taxpayer who's proud of the ward that they're a part of in the community, you kind of kick them out of that without any real regard to how it would affect them.
Yeah, and they're thinking in those apartment buildings there. They think there's they're right across from the pond. Okay, they think they're on the island. They are on the island. Okay, they even maintain the pond and the docks and all that. Yet they're not in the sixth ward. They're in the third ward. It's just insane.
Well, it's insane.
And if I recall, April, they were making an issue last time you run about your residents, but you're a homeowner on the island. Your heart has always been there, right?
Yes. Yep. So when I ran last time, I was pregnant and I was living at a residence. And when my son was born, my apartment was actually coded for 2 people and a newborn made 3. And Justin went to the city, foiled, had code come down and kick me out of my residence there.
No, that's nice.
Wow.
Currently, I am owning a 2-family on Jackson. I reside here. So there's not going to be any of that nonsense going back and forth on my residence. I pay tax dollars. I own a property on the island. So
well, that's
has to be found elsewhere for that one.
That's the dirty side of politics, to go after a young woman and her kids to say they don't live in the house.
Yeah, imagine that.
But anyway, I think that's a great topic, and I'm really excited because I have a real anger for that whole thing. And then the fact that they did not even have any meetings. When I was the head of the county, we had 40 meetings throughout the county. Almost every night I was out having a meeting within parts of the community in Albany County to listen to the people, hear the people, let them share their concerns. I'll be honest with you. The city of Cohoes has a small minority community. We have a small amount of people in our community that make up the minority districts. If this was Albany and the city of Cohoes did what the city of Cohoes did in Albany, they would have been sued in a New York minute. And they would have lost in federal court. I know I lost in federal court, and I followed every single thing that I thought we needed to do. But when you gerrymander lines, it's pretty easy to see. And Cohoes got away with it because there was nobody who was going to sue. But if there was a larger minority community and the minority people felt like they were being oppressed by these lines, I guarantee you there would have been advocates suing the city, and rightfully so. So I think
I was going to say rightfully so, because that is isolation and kind of discrimination where you're separating a community.
Yeah, I think so.
Justin actually commented and said, "Can we go back to the original districting?"
Well, that's a whole nother argument. I mean, look, I don't know the particulars right off the top of my head. I think that through local law and maybe some state support, you may have the ability to do a redistricting in a non-census year, but you're going to have a real good reason. Otherwise, it's 10 years from now that you go back and visit it. I can't see the lines being removed back to the originals without some kind of lawsuit or something going on.
Which is unfortunate.
Which is unfortunate because, again, somebody decided to move down to the island and then separate the island in the short time that they lived there. And if Justin comes on, I certainly want to talk to him about why he redistricted, why he wasn't vocal, why he didn't talk to the community, why they had no meetings. So I think that's a great topic.
Yeah.
That's what's most important too, is I really plan on, if I, granted, voted in and given this position and opportunity, I really would like to do something to make it where I'm very easily accessible. In real estate, I did mass emails and subscriptions. For this, I'm hoping to create an email that would be the same type of idea, where every meeting, every issue directly from me to whatever resident of the sixth ward needs me to relay in those meetings to speak on their behalf, or anything that they have as far as suggestions go. They can sign up for a subscription, and every single thing that goes through City Hall, they will be notified right away.
That's
So
that's that's great.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
that it's important to make sure, all of these citizens are a part of our community, are a part of our ward. They all have a voice that needs to be heard. I think in politics, it gets all blurred when people are up there for either ego reasons, or they start doing things because somebody says so. And you forget the fact that you don't work for the city, you don't work for the mayor, you don't work for the president. You work for the people of your ward to give them a voice.
Yeah, well said. Because
Yeah.
that's really what you are. You are a advocate for the people in that district, that
Right.
ward. You are their
Right.
voice. You are you are. It's not so easy just to walk into the see the mayor all the time, right? He's
Right.
doing a million things. Maybe not this one, but normal mayors do a lot of things, right? So technically, you have a representative who can be that voice between its people and the government. You can say, this is what we need down here. This is what we want. This is what the elected people like me do for the residents. I bring you all of their issues. And they
Right.
may be small issues, right? Hey, we need our garbage cans are broken and nobody's fixing them. Hey, the pond's dirty and nobody's cleaning it up. Hey, this is going on and the people are screaming about it, and I'm going to be their voice and scream too. That's what a good council person does. I know I was a county legislator. That's all I was. I was the voice of Cohoes down in the county, screaming about things that we were being neglected with, right? And
Right.
so I think
Yeah.
you make some great points and being that advocate. I think Randy Knifka just hit us up. He says, so now the island has 2 representatives. How is that bad? 10 years from now, we will have 3 because the population. He just runs his mouth, but he's a moron in every level, because having 2 representatives in a small city is problematic, because it's about the people in the city have no idea of what's important for the people on the island. So all the people up on Main Street and Congress Street have a different need, a different want than the people living down by the golf course.
Yeah. Which
So
is
how are the
so
people on the golf course who now have somebody who's going to be consumed with everything up on the city portion going to
and
really
vice
be down
versa.
there representing them? So
Yeah.
that's a crazy comment. But then
Yeah.
again,
And
So,
correct me
so
if I'm wrong. Just correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure historically throughout politics, there's usually one representative per.
there is.
per
That's just
ward. But
that's a
technically it's 2 wards down there now, so
Yeah,
there's still not 2 representative for each ward.
per each
They
ward.
redistricted it, so you do have 2 wards down there. I wanted to tell you though, just to move along from that redistricting, I know that on March 25, which is next week, there's going to be another public safety hearing with Sean Higgins, and that's regarding the ambulance, and I wanted to just capture if you had any feelings on, the ambulance in Cohoes.
Sure, yeah. So I definitely have my eyes on all of that data so that I, can actually process it and research. I'm like a very education based person. I like to do my research, all the data before making my own personal opinions. And in this position, it really does not matter what matters with my ward residents' opinion is. From my personal experience, I have a son who suffers from febrile seizures. So we've had quite a bit of scares in the last few months. I can say ambulance service showed up and told me could not be transported to Albany Med because they don't have car recommended that I do so.
So you're saying
I
the ambulance? Let me just hear that again, because we do have a little technical issues going on, but that's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
that happens a lot when somebody's further away. Um, you're saying that you had a emergency at your house with your son, and the ambulance that they want to pay $1 million a year shows up without a car seat to transport a baby, and tells you
Yes.
to take him in your own car.
Yep. Yep. They
Did
That's
you
showed
ever
up.
did you
our
ever send
ambulance
that to
did that.
anybody?
I didn't know. I actually, it happened a few weeks ago. The fire department came, put the oxygen mask, made sure his oxygen did speed by the time ambulance got there. He just said, okay, his oxygen's where he needs. Don't have a car seat, so would it be okay if you transferred him? Or, sorry, him to Albany Med? We can't transport him.
That is
Um,
that is like I can't
Wow.
even
it,
fathom that. I was a fireman 27 years. If they showed up without a car seat, they would have needed a stretcher. That's how mad I would have been. Because the whole
it's
point of them is showing up is to get your baby to the hospital.
Well, it's scary just being a parent as it is and dealing with something like that, but then knowing that, I had to put him in the backseat of my car and hope that he didn't, God forbid, oxygen drop or have another
Oh,
seizure.
absolutely.
I'm not
Absolutely.
into that. And I think a lot of people in Cohoes, parents, want to make sure that their kids are safe. Is an emergency, they can be helped and transported to the PEDS ER, which they do for me.
It's really just that's pathetic. I didn't know
Yeah.
that myself,
Yeah.
and I think that that's something that you should send to your current John Franier, who is sitting in the interim while this election goes on. You should send him an email and let him know that, so that when he's thinking about whether he should be supporting $1.5 million for a private ambulance that I think should not even be in this city. He'll
Yeah.
know that you had an issue where and he could ask the question, how do you show up at someone's house without a car seat? It's just
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right.
Now the
And
fire.
Susan,
How quick did the
I
fire
have a
department get
stretcher.
there?
I'm sorry, Susan, stretcher in the back. They did have a gurney in the back or a stretcher, and they said they
Yeah,
don't
they
have
have a
car.
stretcher, but they
Yeah,
need a
and
car seat. Right.
I honestly, I wasn't aware of vital emergency. So if you're telling me you can't transport him and he needs to go, we're jumping in the car. I'm not arguing or questioning. Um, but I think it's a very big issue because of the money that the taxpayers are paying, and if we can't support, you know, people in emergencies, that gets to a really scary point where we need to find a solution that's going to make sure that everybody in the city is safe first and
Yeah.
foremost.
Yeah. Thank God for the firemen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The firemen were there they actually arrived while I was still on the phone with 911. I want to say it was a little under 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And they actually came back a few days later and they brought my son a couple different toys. And it was really so heartwarming. And I'm
That was
super
nice.
grateful. I am super grateful for the firemen of Cohoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
a great fire
Good
department, even
guys. Good
though
guy. Yep.
even though they're getting the stick in their eye too.
Yep.
It is a great fire department. One of the examples we talked about redistricting, right? One of the things about the island is that they have their own little firehouse down there, right?
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Yes.
part of the community of interest of what's important, and
Very.
how things in each district are different than the district next to them or above them or below them. So you can see why it's important to have redistricting done the correct way. But
Right.
I'm sorry about that. I really am. I'm sorry that the city let you down like that, because
You know what? It's something that it just needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed, and we need to come up with a better solution for it so that it doesn't happen to anybody else. And I'm
Yeah.
actually interested to see if there was anybody else has had any type of experience, positive or negative, so that we have better data on whether our money is going to the right solution or whether there is a better way to go about
well, I would tell you that it's not going to the. I don't believe for one second
Yeah.
it's going into the best
Yeah.
position that it should go in. Look, we should either be working with local ambulances that been here their whole lives, like Mohawk, that the city could probably get here at one time for free, but once they embarrassed them and started like calling them names and saying they were no good, said screw you, and then sent $1 million bill to them if they wanted them to be the ambulance. But I think you could work something out with them, or definitely you could work something out with your own fire department. Times are changing, and having this ambulance company, and I'm sorry, this is my own personal view. They're not the company that I want showing up when I'm in desperate need. So
right. And I mean, that's something that I was actually going to bring up. Is it more financially reasonable to try to do it in house with the fire department instead of doing an outsourcing to an ambulance? Because I know that before there was an issue with budgeting, they didn't want to increase the budget. But if you're saving money and you're doing it in house and making sure people
Well,
that
other
you
cities do it. Waterloo does it.
Yeah,
So,
there's a
but you
lot of
know,
cities that do it. Look, if there's a cost to it,
yeah,
and prior to Troy Ambulance Service leaving, the cost would have been foolish, right? Because they were
yeah,
here for free.
yeah,
And for the fire department to do it, you'd have to come up with another $500,000. And to be honest with you, the city doesn't have $500,000 to spend on it. And they don't have $1.5 million for an ambulance. Eventually, this runs you into the ground. This breaks the taxpayers back. It's like playing Jenga. You just keep pulling the thing. Eventually, the house falls. That's what will happen paying $1.5 million for an ambulance. So they have to come up with a solution. Now, if it's $500,000 and you could do it in your fire department, and you can generate the revenue to offset the cost, it's a win-win for everybody. Maybe 3 years ago it wasn't. Today it is. Times change, and you have to move your paradigms and shift them around and be smarter than the next person. We're not that smart in Cohoes right now. We appear to be a city that just flies by the seat of its pants. And I hope and pray that a young council with great ideas who listen and put some effort into fulfilling their position can take a look at the problems that we have, because we have big problems coming down the road. I see them.
yeah.
I can
And
see them as clear as crystals.
I think the
yeah,
big thing is getting people involved that are not one side or the other. I'm pro this person, so I'm pro everything they say, or vice versa. I don't have sides. I don't have favorites. I'm not associated with anybody. I just am trying to do what's right as a mother and a Cohosian. And, I really actually want to get data to form my own opinions and not have those opinions put upon me, other than for, of course, the residents of the ward.
Well, I think you said it right from the very
right,
beginning.
yeah.
You do have
Independent
bosses. It's the
Yeah.
people that elected you, not the
Yeah.
people that sit up in the other seats, not the mayor. Look, you got to work with the mayor. And for the most part, 95% of the job of the council is really pass through stuff. And it's not stuff that you should be in constant battle with. But when
Right.
it comes to stuff like life safety and spending money, I think it's important to have some dialogue about it. I really
Yeah.
do. And I think too many people just raised their hand. Now, I can't see who this is, but it says Justin voted for the ambulance, and the mayor knew I wouldn't support the company. I'm going to assume that may be Tommy Fife. I can't tell because for whatever reason his name's not coming up. But
It says yeah. So
is it? Yeah.
it does say Facebook user. So all the names don't really come on out because they're probably coming through for Facebook. How's everything been going out there? You've been hitting the streets, April?
I have. I've actually been getting a lot of, good interactions, good feedback. The support is there, which I'm super grateful and looking forward to, meeting more people. I want to do more meet and greets,
Good idea.
things of that nature, opening up that communication to where people can really tell me what issues and concerns they have, or any questions or about me that they'd want to know, to better have that data to make their decision when they vote.
Yeah, well, I think the last time you did it, as you said earlier, the last time you were going around looking for signatures, you were 9 months pregnant. It has to be a hell of a lot easier now, isn't it?
This time around, I have a lot less swelling in my legs.
I'll tell you this. This is a little bit of advice that I could give you, right? Is you put your foot to the gas and you never let up, and you just got to keep going and going and going. And when you're tired, you go another hour. And when that hour is done, you go another 20 minutes. Because here's the truth. The only people that you can take to the bank that are telling you the truth are the ones that say, get the hell off my porch. I'm not voting for you. Okay. Everybody else, you have to assume that even though they said it, you got to keep working and showing them.
Yeah.
You got to keep giving them a reason to want to support you. That's the truth. I did it so many times. I know what it's like. I used to say to people all the time, I'm going to promise you one thing, my hard work. Outside of that, I can't promise you nothing because I'm only one vote. But you'll never get a harder worker. And you know what, April? Just keep working hard. You have some great issues. I could see why the redistricting fired you up, because it fired me up. No doubt about it. The ambulance, I'm glad that's one of your top issues, because that is one of the most important things we're going to face as a community, and in the now and in the future, because the cost is going to be astronomical. And more importantly, the service isn't up to your standards.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think you got a financial background somewhat, because you are running a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
You own a restaurant.
Yeah, I own the restaurant. I also ran another business, my brokerage, before I merged it. So I do have experience as far as the business goes. So I do, like I said, I do everything based off data, numbers. I like to do my research. I like to interact with a lot of people. I think
Well,
every position I've
you
had
see
that.
Diane Paul up there saying, "Go over to her house and get a petition signed and put a sign on her property." So
Thank you.
there's a supporter right there
Yeah,
of
so
yours,
yeah,
right?
yeah, so anybody that's watching the podcast, I mean, I can imagine you probably got a Facebook page or something, like, do you, April? Where
I do. Yeah, I'm
because
actually rebooting my previous Facebook. So,
people can
um,
probably send you messages if they're looking
yeah,
for signs or petitions, signatures, or
totally. And
all that stuff.
even if it's not the political page that I have,
Yeah,
feel free to message me on my personal. My cell phone number's out there already with real estate. If anybody has questions, call or text me. I'm
Is there
very accessible.
is there anything you missed that you want to say before we move on?
Um, I mean, I don't really think as far as issues, like I said, I really just want to get in there and get on some, issues and speak with the people. I think it doesn't really necessarily matter what I have as are based off of. I think it matters more about what the people of my ward
Yeah,
are
that's a good
really
point.
thinking and saying.
You're going in blinded. You're not going to know all the stuff that's going on now
yeah,
anyway. So
yeah. Well,
Yeah, I
this
don't
was
want
pretty
to go
much
in with my own
yeah.
opinions. Yeah.
a pretty short notice. I mean, all this thing, it all happened at once, didn't it? I mean, Fife resigned on January 31, and then
Right.
what is it? Less 3 weeks later, everybody's going on out for petitions. That
Yep.
wasn't very much time for somebody to stand up and say, "Hey, I'm gonna give this thing a shot." Kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I've always wanted the. I've ran for it previously. It's not something that's just off of a whim. Um, I
You know,
feel I feel like I'm ready for it. I feel like my heart is there, and I'm going to let the people of the ward decide. That's
yeah,
what it is. I'm here if they would like me. Um, it's completely their decision, and they're the ones that should have the voice on everything
yeah.
that they vote for.
Now, Sean, just I got a question for you, Sean. I know that April Kennedy was a woman in the first ward, and I think Diane Nolan, right? So I don't think they ever had a woman really run for election in the sixth ward.
no, I don't think anybody ever. You look as far back as I remember. The sixth ward didn't have a woman. Look, and I believe in diversity in the sense that the council's made up of all men. And why I'm not the kind of guy that goes, "Oh my God, all men means it's bad," or all women. No,
Yeah,
but I think that it's important to have some diversity, in the sense of, she's a business owner, a woman business owner. She is a mother. She owns a restaurant. So the things that she has in her life taking place is the diversity that I want to see, right? I don't care about a person's just their sex, right? Male, women. I don't care about that. I care about you have a young woman who's a mother. So she brings a whole different perspective to a lot of things, right?
yeah.
She's a
She
business
thinks
owner,
differently.
right?
Yeah,
She's a
yeah. I
business
think
owner.
yeah. To me, I think she thinks differently, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah,
Randy Knifka, and me and Randy may have our differences, but the guy is a historian and he knows a lot more than I know about the history. And he
hmm
just said a woman has never ran or held office in the sixth ward. I give April credit. Third time might be the charm. Well, Randy, you know what? It may be the charm, but you're right. It's great to see the diversity and what a mother can bring, because boy, sometimes that's missing from just
well,
all the dads.
just from her
Reason we
story,
have
what happened, right?
diverse.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
just what happened with ambulance. I mean, unless she was here, we wouldn't have known what she went through.
No,
I can
and
imagine
Bobby
that.
Scanlon just said the same thing. Now, Bobby, you're absolutely right. He said, "Are you telling me the city's paying $1.5 million to station an ambulance in the city? You got to
Yeah,
be crazy. The
we
fire
are.
department can do it and cover their own cost." That's a fact. I've been
is.
saying it. You've been saying it.
Everybody's
Saying it, except for King Keeler, who ain't got enough smarts to realize that he's pissing away all the money. And eventually, when he's long gone, by spending all the money on the ambulances and taking his
Yeah.
big raises and everything else, the people are going to be broke. But
Yeah.
April, listen, I really appreciate you coming on the show. And you can come back as many times as you want. The people enjoyed listening to you. Listen, our show is not endorsing anybody at this moment. That doesn't mean we won't. I love to have Justin come on so I can talk to him about why he supported the ambulance, why he supported redistricting. He may not want to because he knows I'm against all of those things. But hey, maybe he has a point of view that I didn't hear.
Well, that's
I
what's
doubt, right?
having an open mind.
That's right.
Hearing both sides is always best to make a decision. So maybe there's something that we don't know, or maybe he wants to just voice it. I think it's important to do this, whether he feels like don't support him or don't support his decisions. I think it's important just to be able to speak to the people of your ward and of your city in general and have that connection.
Yeah,
So I
and
hope he does do it.
I'd love him to come on the show and talk about why he did those things.
Yeah, run a clean campaign as best you can. That's what I think people like to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
honor and dignity means
don't be
everything.
don't be chasing a young woman around saying she don't live down the island. I've known her since she's before she. Well, I've known you since you're a baby, and you are a class act. You are a incredible businesswoman. And Randy, I got to be honest with you. I would do a debate right here on Truth, Lies, and Political Bullshit if I could get both candidates to come on. But so far, we've got one candidate who said, "Hey, I want to talk about what I'm going to bring to the table." And the other candidate brought things to the table, but he hasn't shared them with us yet. So I'll send him one more message tomorrow to see if he'll come on. In the meantime, April, get out there, knock on doors, do what you do best, work hard. I'll look through all of these. It's only fair that I'll look through all of the messages. And if anybody wants you to contact them, I'll give you their name and stuff, and you can contact them. I'll do it for all the candidates that come on. And we appreciate you being here. Good luck with the restaurant. Most importantly, the biggest and most important job you have is being a mom. And boy, that's a special job. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
it's
you.
the best one I ever got.
Yeah. God bless you. Take care.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
So, Timmy, I want to talk about something else because while you're busting my chops laying down in Florida on the beach, right?
Yeah.
There's certainly, there's certainly.
Well, I know the fish weren't having it.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm laying down on the beach. I have to come home.
Yep.
Albany Airport, and I hope Danny McCoy
Yeah.
comes on. I've asked him to come on
Yeah.
3 times. He's asked me for some dates, but he hasn't confirmed. I'm not going to beat you up, Danny. I promise.
Yeah.
But Albany Airport is under a major renovation, right?
Yeah, I think $90 million, Sean.
90, 100 million. Yeah.
Somewhat,
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I understand that progress is a pain in the ass. I understand that when you're renovating things, it causes chaos. But when I did it in the city, I always said to myself, never let the renovations be more of a problem than you're trying to fix. And always put the people's issues before anything. And what I meant by that is this. I'm in the airport coming home. Me, my daughter, 5 things of luggage, and 2 little kids. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And my car's parked way to hell in the way back parking lot because it was jam packed, the airport. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we landed, we got our luggage. I got to walk to get my car by myself. There's no way my daughter can carry this luggage, carry her kids. So I walk about 20 minutes one way, 20 minutes back the other way. Get my car, and I try to pull up. Now you can see the picture, right? That whole entire spot where you have the airport signs where you drop people off and picked up is blocked off. Every one of them. And they have these rent-a-cops at every spot screaming at people. You can't park here. You got to move. You got to move. You got to move. Move where? Where the hell do you want me to move? There's no place for me to move. I said, I got a daughter. I got little kids. I got luggage. It'll take me 5 minutes to park my car here. She goes, you park your car here. It's a $650 fine. I said, call Danny McCoy. He's going to have to pay it because there was no other way to get my kids. And Here's the problem. Whoever is managing this project should be managing it from the point of view that we know that the inconvenience and the difficulties of people coming and going and dropping off and picking up is going to be a nightmare. So
Yeah,
instead of hiring people that just say, get out of here, move, tickets, we're going to, instead of just adding to your frustration and your concern and your panic, they should have had people there saying, don't worry, let us help you. Let us figure out, you can get your kids, let us do what we have to do to make this inconvenience as convenient as possible. But they did the opposite, and everybody seems to do the opposite. Instead of doing that, they got the people screaming at you, not helping you park, not telling you where to park, telling you just to get the hell out of there. I parked my car. I didn't care. I said, tow the fucking car. I don't care. I have to get my kids out of there. This is ridiculous. I left my car, grabbed my daughter. Within 3 minutes, we're in my car. The person comes up to me and says, sir, I could tell you I want to cry. I hate this job. It's a mess. Nobody's telling us and giving us directions. And all I'm doing all day for 8 hours is yelling at people to move their car. I much rather figure out a place to tell them to go and park it so they can get their luggage and get their kids and be safe crossing the street. And that was my point.
Yeah, and I've been there, and you pull up and just to stop, okay, just to grab your luggage, okay, and it's like all eyes are on you, and you feel like you're violating a law or doing something wrong just to stop and pick up, your arrival, okay,
Yeah, so
and to grab the luggage. It's happened to me too.
So think about it now with all this construction. Now, when I left, I'll tell you what happened when I was in the airport. So I'm in the airport and there's a line. They don't have the lines and the escalators running the way they're always running, right? So there's a line, and that line is 5 miles long of people at 5:30 in the morning. Wow. I mean, I couldn't see the end of the line. So I walk up to the lady and I said to her, hey, ma'am, where do I go? I got kids. I got a carriage. I got a baby. She goes, you got to go to the end of the line. So I go to the end of the line. I stand in that line for 45 minutes. I finally get to the escalator. The same lady goes, oh, you got to go up the elevator. I go, why didn't you tell me that 45 minutes ago? Yeah. I stood in line because you told me to stand here. And now you're telling me I got to go up the freaking elevator.
Who's now, if I went up the Mr. Keeler.
Oh, I was losing my mind. I wanted to be patient because I understand that construction and making things new and nice is a pain in the ass.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to call Sam Facina. You're right, Bobby, because he probably could go up there and say, fix this problem, because whoever's managing it is mismanaging the whole entire process, because they should spend all of their time trying to help inconvenience people find some kind of convenience rather than having people who are so inconvenienced by the construction itself then getting screamed at by the people you hired to make sure that they don't have a spot to park or know where to go or know what to do. Help them and it will go a lot smoother. Let them park in the road for 3 minutes and unload their cars and then keep them moving.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Danny McCoy, get on the show. We need to talk to you about the airport. I love the fact that it's going to be have $100 million upgrade. I don't think you're ever going to become a true international airport like they want to be. This is still Smallbany, and it's not going to be a international hub, but it can be a beautiful airport. But man, you got to come up with some better solutions to addressing the issues, because people were ready to cry. It was a sight to see up there, Timmy.
Yeah.
It really was. Hey, listen, everybody, if you like the show, please subscribe. We need you to subscribe. Go over to YouTube. We're really kicking butt. Numbers are growing, but they still need to grow more. And the only way they grow on YouTube is if you subscribe. All of our other channels have massive numbers, thousands and thousands. And unfortunately, YouTube takes a different approach, and it's a lot harder to get people and build up the numbers. But if you help us, I'd appreciate it. We're close to almost 500 there. We're thousands and thousands through Facebook and TikTok and all the other platforms. And but please go over and subscribe. This is the only place that you're going to get notified. We really would love your help.
Yeah, so looking at, I've been looking down here because I lost my little sheet that we use for our topics, okay? and so I managed to get myself lost. Where are we
Well,
now?
I'm not too shocked with that, Tim.
Yeah, well, I
You're
got a
lost every
birthday in
day.
2 days, so I'm going to be 70.
Hey,
Okay,
listen,
but you
happy
won't find
birthday.
me out on the beach. Okay, like you.
Well, let me just be the first because my stepdaughter Adriana, who I love
Yep,
unconditionally, I was able to spend lunch with her for her birthday. She turned 26 the other day, so happy
yep,
birthday, Adriana! Love you. You're growing up to be a fine young woman. You know she's in the Air Force, and
yep.
she's just an amazing young woman. And on the sadder note, I wanted to do this at the last show, but we
Yep.
had the I was talking about it and didn't know I was talking to myself because we lost the connection. But
Yeah.
my good friend Danny Shepard's father, Leo Shepard, passed away. He was one of my father's best friends. He was an amazing, amazing man, loved by so many. You probably can remember him, Tim, because you're old. You went to Shep's Tavern in
Yeah.
Cohoes,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he owned Shep's, and he owned a couple other nightclubs. I know he owned a disco, and he was just a great man, and he passed away just a couple days ago. So my love and condolence to Danny Shepard and his family,
Yep.
and Shep's wife, and all of his kids. I'm sure he's in heaven looking down and proud of his family. So
Yeah. So I found my notes. Our next topic, I guess we got is the what's going on with the community center.
yeah. So
We got some
listen,
updates there.
you and I have been screaming that the city of Cohoes has missed the boat,
Oh,
right?
did they on
And
that?
they only missed the boat because, like everything else, he knew I wanted to buy the community center. So he probably said, I'm not doing that because Morris wanted to do it. But here's a community center that you could buy and walk in, almost fully renovated. And the county did it. And I give Gil Efier and Sean Ward and Danny McCoy a lot of credit because they seen the value that King Keeler didn't see, right?
Yes. Yeah, they did. They
They
did.
seen the value. And why I'm proud and happy that the community center will live on. It is no longer the Cohoes Community Center.
Right. Yeah.
Cohoes kids will no longer have first access to the swimming pools, to the gyms, to the weight rooms, right?
Mhm.
Now it's going to be a county-wide facility. So anybody who lives in the county of Albany can come to the community center. And I'm okay with that because we always had people from other cities, but Cohoes kids got first options.
Mhm.
I can't imagine they're going to have first options no more.
Well, I don't know how they're going to run, say, recreation programs that are organized, like basketball tournaments, things like that. I mean, that's what we did when John DeMel was there, and others. Robert Gully and stuff. Bingo. It was, and even swimming for the seniors. Sean. So I just don't know what's going to happen with that stuff. It's all up in the air. But they bought it, so
Yeah, so look,
let's see.
I'm sure that Gil and Sean Ward and Danny McCoy had many conversations. I can tell you that I talked McCoy's ear off to buy the thing since it's closed.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm really proud that they bought it. Now I want to be like honest. I'm not like ecstatic
Mhm.
because I wanted Cohoes to buy it because it would
Yeah.
have been something that Cohoes never had. We would never. Most cities don't have their own little recreation
Oh
place, right?
yeah, they're shut down everywhere.
They're shut down. We could have had an
Right.
indoor pool, basketball, clinics. We could have moved the library over to the
Yeah.
meeting spaces over there. Senior
Yeah.
citizens, they have a
Everything.
massive kitchen. We could have cooked for people. There's so much that could have been done if you just have a little imagination,
Yeah,
right?
there's some
But
vision, nothing. Yeah.
instead, this moron who runs the city is going to buy the Cohoes Savings Bank for $500,000.
Mhm.
It's going to take about $1.5 million to even renovate it. It's a shithole at the highest level. I mean, if you ever went downstairs, it's got, I think the toilet bowl's still flush into this basement. It's sopping wet. It's disgusting.
Mhm.
And it's
Never-
not a place. It's not a place, and it's not in the location that you want to have your library in the middle of your downtown. You have Rock the Block there. You already don't take care of the park across the street. People are sleeping in there. Drugs, alcohol, broken bottles, homeless people. It's a
Yeah,
shame to
look,
watch.
right. And take these two buildings, Sean. They get knocked off the tax rolls because
Exactly. I don't believe the county pays taxes, and I know
No,
that
they don't pay taxes. No.
and now that the water and sewer bills. It's just it's a
financially down the road, it's going to catch up to us. With that building there, the Coast Savings Bank built, the old library that's not going to be doing.
So you can have the whole library,
and then eventually water sewer at Mohawk Paper Mills. So, I mean,
we're in a lot of trouble.
We're going to be in a lot of trouble down the road. Yes.
And this is what happens when you don't know what you're doing. You don't pay attention. You don't stay on the issues every day. You don't build relationships with people throughout your community. None of these buildings should have just got up and walked off the tax roll. Cohoes should own the Cohoes Community Center. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate it. Thank you, Gil. I'm proud of you. Sean Ward. And yes, I don't like Bill Rickard one iota, but I'm sure he'll take some credit because he is a county legislator, and I'm sure
he lives in Cohoes, so
I'm sure he advocated for it
and
as
he
well.
Probably voted for it, so
yeah. So I as much as I don't like him, I got to give him credit where credit is due. So for everybody who purchased this because you were smart enough to see the value for the county of Albany, kudos to you. To the mayor of the city of Cohoes, shame on you. You're a failure on the community center. You're a failure on the ambulance, the library, and I think on our next slide right here, Timmy, he's a failure in a sense with the hiring of firefighters. Congratulations to everybody who got hired, and every single one of you, Cohosiers and non-Cohosiers. Congratulations to all of you. You were picked. You deserve it. You're going to make great firefighters. Congratulations. But just 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, we talked about.
Right.
For the first time in the city's history, as far back as I could go.
Yeah, they went out the city.
This clown who calls himself mayor of Cohoes for the Cohoes Fire Department, right?
Yep.
To take care of the people of Cohoes, decides he's going to hire a fireman for the first time from Albany and Schenectady. And you and I came on this show, and yes, we bashed him. And the people were confused because what he said is, oh, we hired people based on the highest scores. What he failed to tell you is that Cohoes should have had its own residency list, and it would have been all Cohoes people, and the fire department would be staffed with people who love their city, live the city, parents that still live in the city, they still live in the city. And one of the things I'm really excited for is that one of the guys, I believe it was the Albany guy, decided he didn't want the job. And they went back and hired Lenny Bowen's daughter. Okay.
Yep. So we got a lady.
And I am as proud. She is a wonderful girl. Yep. Lenny was a police officer. He's got a wonderful family. I think his son is a cop in Albany. And now his daughter is a firefighter. She shouldn't have had to have a guy leave. And then they reached out and grabbed her, probably because they were embarrassed by the show. But however she got there, I am so proud of her.
Good for her.
And congratulations. You're going to make a great firefighter. Sean Higgins put out that she would be the second firefighter ever to be hired. That's not correct. There was 3 firefighters. Tommy Fife, the guy who has had more screws by this. Right. Yeah, but the more screws. His wife, I hired his wife to be a firefighter, and she was away at school when a personal issue came up, and she had to leave the school. But she still got hired. She still attended the school, and she would have probably gone back and finished up the schooling if I was still there. But she was still hired. So technically we hired 3 firefighters, and Kelly Goyette, God bless her. I love her. She's retired. And Lenny's daughter will be I think the only one there now, but I'm sure many to follow. And to the Yeah, to the young man who got hired outside the city, I know you'll do a great job for us. This has got nothing to do with you, but Cohoes kids should have a first option. Cohoes kids should always have first option. The city taxpayers pay the salaries, and it's just disappointing. But it's just another screw up by this guy, because I'll tell you that they just forgot to make the city list because he's not paying attention. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Because to say that there's no city list would be the first time in the history.
Right.
I got two messages here from Skinny. Mark Galano says, okay, I'm confused. Before the previous election, I was prepared to vote for April because of knowing Jimmy forever, but I thought you endorsed Justin, so I went with him. Well, I didn't endorse Justin. I didn't endorse anybody in that campaign. I loved April as well. I liked Justin. I'm not going to share my opinion right now because Justin has a right to come on the show and explain to me why he made some votes that he made. But I give April a lot of credit. She's going to do a fantastic job if she gets elected. And I think what they did to Tommy Fife was a tragedy. Was just a disgusting display of a guy who thinks he's above the people when Keeler thinks he's more powerful than the people of
Well,
the
look,
island.
Sean, I didn't hold back, Sean. Okay, I did not hold back. I believe this was a damn stolen election. They threatened this guy as a city employee to throw him out of his job. Okay. If he was not a city employee, he'd still be sitting there. But they went after his job, his family, his livelihood, and that election was stolen. And then who was ready to go jump right in for that seat before they even announced John Franier, okay, to be sworn in? Alicio's already got his hand on up and saying, I'm running. Okay.
You know that I believe it's a scam. I'm telling you from
Yes.
day one, it's a scam. I've been out there saying it's a scam.
Damn right,
I think
it
it's a tragedy. I think it's a third world bullshit move by a
Yes.
guy who's already he's killing our city for Christ's sake, and he doesn't care. He took a $82,000 raise over 4 years.
Yeah, yeah.
He don't care. He didn't even know enough to make a city list for the firefighters, right?
And
Thank
Sean,
God he hired 4.
yeah,
They probably need 8.
yeah. And what really kind of like, if I had to say one thing eats at me is will the people on the island accept what happened to them? It's not anything to really do with Tom Fife or Alicio. It's what happened in this process to see an election take place and then have the result, no matter which one won that thing, yanked out from underneath of them. And
I'm
that
gonna
steams me.
I'm going to tell you something, right? I
Yeah.
take heat by a bunch of morons on the
Yeah.
internet because I constantly am defending Donald Trump. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm not saying I'm defending Donald Trump because I want him to be the president. I'm not saying that I'd vote for Donald Trump. What I do is my
Yeah.
business. And when it's time for me to tell you who I want to vote for, I'll tell you. But what I'm watching is the United States of America using its own government to kill a
Yeah.
man so he
Yeah.
can't run for office, like what they
Yeah.
did to him in New York City, like they're
Sure.
doing to him. You got a woman who's having an affair with her boyfriend, giving him
Yeah.
$600,000 in taxpayer money, and
Yep.
and going after Trump for stealing an election. Well, I got to be honest with you, people. I've been in politics for a long freaking time. People steal elections. I watched the game. People
Yeah.
got arrested in Troy, absentee ballots, stuffing them in your pants. People are stealing elections every day.
Doing it all
So
the time.
so when they go on TV and say there's no stolen elections, bullshit.
Oh,
I remember when they were voting 96 people out of a house in Cohoes, and it was a
Yeah.
condemned house.
Yeah.
Don't give me that
Yeah.
shit.
It happens.
I mean,
folks.
if you're
Yep.
that stupid to think that in politics they're not trying every which way to win, come on. That includes taking absentee ballots and saying, "Oh, they died last week. Just
Yeah.
change the date and say they died yesterday." It's
Yeah.
just nonsense.
Yeah. Hey, Sean, do we have a couple minutes to talk about just some of the comments that came in? We like to wrap up our show with some of the
I
comments.
got yeah. There's
Let
a few.
people know.
There's a few more things that we had on here, but
Yeah.
I think so because Bobby Scanlon said something that I've been saying forever. You know what? When I was a firefighter, Timmy, right?
Yeah.
I could have lateraled off and went to some other cities that were looking for firefighters,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I was and made more money. But if
Yeah.
you're not, if you're these people who get hired from outside the city, soon as their city has openings, they put in to transfer and they take off and go to their own city because you feel best as a firefighter when you're in your own city, man.
Yeah, you do.
Because
You know?
because when you're saving lives and delivering babies and you know you're going to see those people the next day or 20
Yeah.
years from now, you're going to run into the little kid that you. I was working a job a couple years ago and the guy said, "Hey, do you remember me?" I said, "Geez, I don't remember you." He goes, "You saved my life. I cut
Mhm.
my artery in my arm and the blood was pumping out 10 foot high. And you're the guy who came and stopped stopped it from bleeding and got me to the hospital. And they almost had to take my arm off and thought I could have died if it did." He goes, "You did that. And here I am working with you in the same city." Those are the
Yeah.
reasons you stay in your own
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
this moron just didn't know enough to make the city list, and he'll probably pay for it. But go
Mhm.
ahead, Tim. Read some of the comments.
Well,
I'm
they're
open.
really, really small, okay. But what we got is let's see. I got Sean Dansley saying he He's a plant for the mayor as far as what's going on
Good,
the
you
island.
got to, you know what? You got little arms, and when you reach your little arms over there and you pull your head, nobody can hear you on your mic.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I got to move my mic to it because
Yeah, you
this
got to
thing
move.
is
Yeah.
so small. Okay. Here, let me do this thing like it says. Don't ever hold back. That's being a Facebook user. But what we got here? We got Robert Scanlon. You already talked about him. Okay. Some other comments here. Who's this person? April has my vote. I don't know who
So,
that
so there's a
Facebook.
lot of people saying April has my vote. If you want to put your name in and say this is such and such, have April contact me, because some of you are coming up with just a Facebook user. It doesn't have your
We don't know
picture.
who you are. We just know you're a Facebook user. But look, she said she has a Facebook page, her personal page. She's revamping her Friends of April page. She's on Facebook. Send her a message if you really want to back her. It's up to you, people. I like I said, when I got back to Sean, every time I think about this election being stolen, I mean, I'm steaming about it. And it didn't matter who was running. It's just that the fact that this was done in our city, I think it's so un-American that it's a civil war was fought over things
Well, hey,
like
listen, I got some breaking news.
that. Yep.
Justin Aliso just said, "Hey, Sean, what podcast?"
Oh my God.
50,000 people and you don't know what podcast.
I guess he doesn't know about truth, lies, and political bullshit, huh? What
So
podcast?
he's not. Look at Justin. You got to be more observant. I'm going to send you a. I'm going to send you a message of how to come on our podcast. In the meantime, before I choke on my own spit,
Oh,
some breaking news. Eye Brewery is moving out of downtown, which to me is
yeah.
depressing because I think downtown is where I worked really hard to build the nucleus of our city, and then the tentacles would spread out all across the
Yeah, they're moving to
communities.
151 Saratoga. That's the building I think where Forever Friends is. I
It
don't I
is.
don't know if it's the where the dog.
No, so
Place.
I know I spoke to Keith Hancock
Yep.
yesterday, and he is up and running well, and his business is going well, and it's in that building, but just a different part of the building.
Okay, because that's a big building. So yeah.
Right, right. So
Yep.
so Eye is moving again. I think downtown is the place the bar should be, but I understand you have to do what's best for your business. I hope you can succeed down there. I hope you have a great location
Yep.
for you
And
and your customers.
yeah, and down down at 175 Hard Avenue for you guys down on the island. Okay, they're looking to put a dance studio. That's at old Sacred Heart Church, I believe. So they're looking to put a dance studio in there.
Yeah, I don't.
Anything else, Sean? I got Mark Alano here has got a comment. Let me see if I can't see what Mark is saying here. He goes, "Okay, I'm confused. Before the election, I
I
was
already read that one.
You already read that. Okay.
Timmy, I think that you know what I was told that when you take that Viagra, it like shrinks your
Yeah, it shrinks your brain.
your blood vessels to
You
from
can't.
one
Your
head
eyes.
to the other.
I don't have enough oxygen to my eyeballs anymore, so I can't see the comments. And I got to learn to scroll this thing.
Well, at least you're not rolling out of bed. I don't know what else to tell
Yeah.
you.
Where do you get? Look at I would have looked a lot better on the beach in my speedo than you.
Hey, so listen, everybody. I appreciate you being on the show tonight. April, thank you for coming on. You did a fantastic job. Everybody says the same thing. Very well spoken. I think she is well spoken. I think she is highly intelligent. I think she's got drive like I've never seen. She's a successful business owner. She's a successful top 10 sales rep for selling houses. This girl's got it going on. And the fact that she
and I just want to say this. This is about what, our 50th podcast?
so many with you, Timmy. I
So
can't
many.
keep track.
So I just want to say on my end to finish with, to you, what podcast?
Well, he knew I had one. He said, "Oh, I didn't know Timmy was on one."
No.
Hey, listen, everybody. God bless.
All right.
Good to be back. And I know we're going to talk soon. Hey, Bobby Scanlon, thanks for giving us a lot of great posts because they're all right on top of the top of my notepad because they're absolutely 100% correct. So
Okey-doke.
everybody else, God bless. Talk to you soon.